is the lifeblood of Toastmasters. Some say it is the backbone of Toastmasters. Some say it is the heart of Toastmasters. So evaluation is very important in Toastmasters and it drives the movement. If you ask me about the importance of evaluation to me, it's like the chutney for the idli. It's like the salna for the paratha. Probably for Toastmaster Willie Johns, it's like the patty in the burger. So you cannot have a speech or a performance without getting evaluated in Toastmasters. So evaluation is very important. If you ask Selvan sir, he will say how difficult it is to evaluate the performance of his wife. If you ask Toastmaster Madhavan, he will say how difficult it is to give feedback to his students. And if you ask Toastmaster Vivekanandan, he will say how difficult it is to share feedback with team members or even his boss. So evaluation is a critical skill not only in Toastmasters, but also in our other aspects of our life. So I want to start by asking you a question. What comes to your mind when you think of party? Type it in the chat window. When you think of party, what are the different things that come to your mind? Type your responses in the chat window. Fun. Okay. Our president is leading the team with this response. Fun. Jolly. Togetherness. Dance. No chance for a married person. So Selvan is still feeling bad that he cannot participate in a party. So there are so many things. DJ. Okay. So there are so many things that creates that party environment, and today we already started feeling like we are part of a party thanks to the fantastic job by our Toastmaster of the Day and General Evaluator, right? So I'm going to relate some of the techniques that we can use in evaluation with certain things that we see and do in a party. The first thing that is that identifies a party is the mood of the environment, right? Everybody who's participating in a party is like so cheerful, they are so positive, they are so vibrant, they carry a lot of energy. And if you are an evaluator, the first thing that you have to exhibit is the mood. So you have to, when you are sharing feedback with a fellow member, you have to show that positivity in your words, in your action, in your voice. So you have to create that positive environment. Only then the listener will open up and start taking your feedback. So your feedback should be constructive to start with. Your feedback should be extremely positive. So how can you create that positive mood when you are starting your evaluation? Let's see how you can do that with your voice. So voice, for example, if you are giving an evaluation and if you are saying, I think you should probably look at how you can improve on your voice modulation. So if you say that you are sounding lack of confidence, so you are showing that you are not very confident in what you are sharing with the person. Your voice is not showing that excitement, it's not showing that energy. Or alternatively, you may be unconsciously sounding like this. I think you should improve on your vocal variety. Though your intent is not to sound harsh, but with your voice, you are sounding harsh and probably the other person may feel that you are upset or you are angry. So your voice plays a very critical role when you are sharing feedback with people. So you have to use that to your fullest advantage when you are sharing feedback. For example, you can say, I think there is scope for improving your vocal variety. I think there is a few things that you can do to enhance your voice modulation. So show that cheer, show that positivity in your voice. Number two, using right actions to exhibit that positivity. So normally people say you should not point fingers at others. So when you are on a stage or when you are sitting in front of a computer, don't point fingers at a person when you are sharing feedback. So the right gesture to use is opening up your arm. So this is a nice gesture to use when you are sharing feedback, or use gestures like this, which are open in nature. That gives an impression to the audience that you are very positive. You are sharing good messages, right? So in fact, even in church, you see people using this gesture. So this is a gesture of positivity and you can use that. So that's how you can show positivity in gestures. And with words, there are so many colorful words. So when you are sharing feedback, you should not you should not say, now I am going to share with you some weaknesses, or now I am going to point out some negatives in your speech. So don't use such vocabulary. Instead, you can say, I have a few recommendations for you. I have a few suggestions for improving your speech. Or you can say, I have some tips that you can use to change the good speech into a great speech. So there are different ways in which you can use words to exhibit positivity. For example, when I started my Toastmasters career, I used to use words like good or very good or great. So for example, if I have to appreciate somebody, I'll say you are great, or you are very great, or you are like very great. So I was running short of words to appreciate people. But today, thanks to all the words that I learned through Toastmasters, I can appreciate people with colorful words like fantastic, outstanding, amazing, incredible, stupendous. So there are so many other words that you can use instead of good or great to appreciate people. So you can use words to create that positive environment or the positive atmosphere. So number one, it's the positive mood, either through words or voice or through your actions. So that's the first tip that I want to share with you. The second most important thing that identifies a party is food. There is no party without food, right? So if there, for example, I was traveling, I was going to a reception with our fellow Toastmaster Rajesh Natarajan a few weeks ago, and he was very sad. And I asked him, Rajesh, why are you very sad? And he told me, Saro, you know what? My parents have okayed my visit to this reception, but with one condition. They said you cannot have food in the place in the reception. So he was very upset because the main purpose of a few people to go to events and attend parties is to have sumptuous food. So if there is no food, then there is no party, right? So similarly, in an evaluation, if there is no takeaway value for a member, then there is no point in giving the evaluation. So evaluation has to be purpose bound. So for example, like for many people, the purpose of going to party is food. Similarly, the purpose of evaluation is to offer some value to the member. So if there is no value that you are offering as an evaluator, then there is no purpose in giving the evaluation. So how can you offer value to the person? There are a few things that you can follow. Number one, try to cover how the performance was with respect to the project objectives. So every speech manual lists down the list of objectives for that particular speech or for the speaker. So ensure that your feedback covers the aspects outlined as part of the speech objective. So that is number one. That is very important. So you have to ensure that you are covering the objectives of the speech. That's one. And number two, look for general speech writing or speech delivery related skills. Are they exhibiting eye contact? Are they exhibiting vocal variety? Are they exhibiting stage usage? Are they using right gestures? So you can cover them next. And third, which is very important, is compare their performance against their past performance. Especially in a club setting, you might have seen the speaker evolve over a period of time. So ensure that you are also offering some insights based on how the speaker was before and how the speaker has evolved over a period of time. You can even highlight that as part of the evaluation. So it's important that you talk about the speech objectives, you talk about general speech writing as well as speech delivery skills, and number three, you talk about the past performance of the speaker and how the performance has improved over a period of time. So when you are sharing the feedback, for example, in any meal you have a three course. You have the appetizers, you have the main course, and you have the dessert. So similarly, when you are sharing a speech evaluation, start with an appetizer, like warming up. For example, what a fantastic speech it was, or what a great speech it was, what an informative speech it was, what an entertaining speech it was. So start with some kind of a warm-up statement which wakes them up and make them listen to you. So that is number one. And number two, in the main course, offer something very specific. For example, instead of saying you should improve on eye contact, you should offer specific input to the speaker on how they can enhance their eye contact. You can tell them, if you are attending an online meeting, just by looking at the camera, you will give a perception to the audience that you are having eye contact. In an in-person meeting, you can divide the hall into 4 quadrants and shift your eye contact. Look at one person sitting in each quadrant and then gradually shift your eye contact from one quadrant to another. And repeat this in circle. You will give a perception to everybody that you are looking at them. So give them like very specific feedback when you're sharing feedback. And the last aspect is the dessert. So you want to leave everybody on a sweet note. So ensure that when you're finishing your evaluation, you are highlighting some of the positives, you are highlighting the strengths of the speaker, or highlight some, or just summarize the whole speech, whole evaluation. So leave it on a positive note. So that is very important. Now, the third aspect of any party is pictures. We want to preserve those memories. We want to capture those highlights from the party so that we can go back in time and look at them quite often. So similarly, in an evaluation, what you can do is there is very less time that you have in, to deliver evaluation. Probably you have like 2.5, 3 minutes. So what should you do? So there's a famous quote, learn as if you are going to live forever and live as if you are going to die tomorrow. Similarly, in evaluation, write notes or take notes as if you are going to deliver a 1 hour long evaluation. But when you're on the stage or when you're sitting in front of your computer sharing your feedback, condense it to a level where it can be delivered in a minute. So how you can do it? A general rule of thumb that I use is I highlight 2 or 3 nice to strengths that the speaker exhibited. And for every 3 things that the speaker did really well, I point out 1 area of improvement. So 3:1 ratio is what I follow. And normally what I do is I take a sheet of paper and split it into 2 halves. And I capture all the strengths on one side and the areas of improvement on the other side. After the speech is over, I try to identify key points that I have to deliver during the evaluation. So though I might have written a lot of, I might have taken a lot of notes, I identify the top few items that I want to share on the stage. And while you can really go over the entire list with the speaker after the meeting is over, but when you are on the stage, talk about the most important aspects of the speech that went really well and the aspects that can be improved. So it's very important as an evaluator to focus on the most important items so that it can be remembered and it can be incorporated by the speaker. Then comes gifts. Who would not love to get gifts, especially personalized gifts? Personalized gifts make a huge impact on the person who is receiving it. So similarly, in evaluations, you have to personalize the evaluation for the person. For example, the evaluation or the feedback that I may be sharing with somebody like Abhishek, who has matured as a speaker over a period of time, versus a new speaker who's doing an icebreaker speech today, it will be completely different. So you have to understand that aspect. So anytime you're sharing your feedback, it has to be completely personalized. It has to be customized to the level at which the speaker is. If somebody is giving a speech who has already done a DTM and redoing the pathways, then expectation should be really high. Though they may be doing icebreaker again in pathways, but they should really incorporate all the voice modulation, the hand gestures and eye contact, all of that has to be really high. So personalize the feedback based on the level at which the speaker is. For example, some people talk a lot about eye contact and hand gestures, voice modulation for a person who might have just joined Toastmasters the previous week. So you have to be conscious of the level at which the speaker is, and you have to personalize the feedback to the level at which the speaker is and share it with them. And the last aspect is the packaging, like how we do decoration in parties. So people say don't judge a book by its cover, but unfortunately, all of us end up judging the book by the cover or by the title. So the recommendation that I have for you when you are sharing your evaluation is structure that evaluation. It is very important that you are structuring your evaluation. How can you structure your evaluation? There are a few techniques available. Number one, the traditional sandwich technique, where you can talk about the strengths or things that really went well, then talk about the areas for improvement, then finish it with the strengths or any other nice thing that the speaker did. So that's a sandwich technique. Nice things, areas for improvement, again talk about nice things. That's one way of structuring. The other way of structuring, especially if you're a new person trying to learn evaluation, you can use the chronological order. For example, you can say, during your introduction, you said this, and that was really nice. And during the body of your speech, these are the few things that you did, and it really went on well. And or if it did not go well, you can talk about that. And towards the end, in the conclusion, you talk about what are the things that went well in the conclusion, what did not go on well in the conclusion, right? So that is chronological order. Or some people use techniques like acronyms. For example, they may say, your speech was a step ahead. So they'll say, yes, your speech had a great structure, T for transition, E for entertainment, P for pace of the delivery. So they'll try to organize the speech evaluation based on an acronym. Or some people will use comparisons. For example, they'll say, your speech was like watching a Mani Ratnam movie. It was so crisp, it was so impactful, and you made us visualize your experience. So that's another way of delivering a speech evaluation. So there are different techniques to package, and there are limitless techniques, and you can experiment with them. Sky is the limit when it comes to packaging. So why packaging is very important is it helps the audience to understand as well as follow or remember your speech evaluation for a long time. So this is a template that I want to share with you. I'll also circulate the PowerPoint after the meeting. So this template is very handy for somebody new to start with their evaluation. So it has sections that talk about the speech objectives and sections that talk about general speech evaluation criteria. And for you to deliver the evaluation, there are like few things you can note down the top 3 things that you liked in terms of the project objectives and one area for recommendation. Similarly, you can talk about the 3 things that I liked in terms of the general speech delivery and one area of recommendation. Towards the end, you can have a positive way of concluding the speech or just summarize the speech. Both are allowed. So in the interest of time, I will take probably 1 or 2 questions and we can wrap up. You can type the questions in the chat window. Or probably we can take the questions offline too. And I'm not a stranger to you, so you know how to reach out to me. You can get in touch with me after this meeting is over. So I want to re-emphasize some of the key points that you need to focus when you are doing evaluations. Number 1, it has to be extremely positive and constructive. Number 2, it has to be purposeful. So it has to offer value to the speaker. Number 3, cover only the important points and or the key highlights when you are on stage or when you are in front of the camera. Number 4, make it personalized to the level at which the speaker is. And number 5, packaging is very important. So these are the aspects of evaluation that you can incorporate. So you can motivate the speaker to continuously excel in their speaking.